Hi, my name is Ashwarya Kansakar, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of SynchroWin Software Solutions, an AI-powered digital twin and optimization company for the manufacturing world.
And I'm Marilyn Flair, Laureate Professor at Monash University, and I head up the Conceptual Play Lab.
So I'll tell you how we met. Marilyn and I met at the Victorian Honor Roll induction ceremony in 2022, where Marilyn was inducted as a change agent and I was inducted as an emerging leader. After that, we met again at the United Nations International Women's Day event in 2023, where the theme of the event was cracking the code and digital, so innovation and technology inclusivity for women in STEM. That's where I learned about Marilyn's wonderful work in STEM and with children, and then shared about my work in the startup space and in the technology space. And we thought we have to collaborate to do something to bridge this gap for STEM and women.
And we were super passionate to say that we want to do something now for the next International Women's Day, and here we are. So what's really special about what Ash and I did is that we actually came up with a world first, which is to bring industry partners and academia and early childhood educators together to change the story for girls in STEM. And why it's a world first is because no one has done this before in early childhood. And this is a really important collaboration where it's very respectful of the educators who have the amazing expertise in being able to plan play-based programs and have detailed knowledge of children's development, whilst the educators work with the industry partners who have amazing expertise in the actual STEM concepts. And when these two experts come together, magic happens and girls get a chance to change the story in STEM for them.
So after meeting in April at the United Nations event, myself and Marilyn brought together a team of 13 PhD researchers from Monash University, 2 engineers from my company, both from automation and manufacturing sector, and also PhD researchers from academia and Poets Grove Early Childcare Center's teachers who came together to educate with this co-teaching model around 28 to 30 students at the Poets Grove Center. We saw lots of girls participate and engage, and they were able to explain back to us concepts that were so complex in manufacturing, design for manufacturing, lean manufacturing, Kaizen, 3D printing, because they were able to simulate a whole assembly line and then explain all of that back to us in terms of production, which is language and concepts that they generally learn later on at either undergraduate or postgraduate level, which was quite interesting to see.
And why it all worked was because we drew on an evidence-based model called a conceptual play world, where the drama of the story, and in the example that we piloted, it was the story of the elves and the shoemaker who had this problem. And the chief elf zoomed into Poets Grove and asked the children for help because her factory had burnt down and she needed the children to be able to design a manufacturing process. And you were the chief elf.
Yes, I was. And I think it really helped that the chief elf was a female and not a male for once, because the children were able to see and replicate my actions. So in one of the days, we noticed that the girls were very reluctant to join workstations, which were very labor intensive, where they had to move boxes and packaging. But then in day 3 and day 4, we noticed that they were following the footsteps of all the participants, especially the chief elf engineer, because I was on my knees doing the conveyor belt actions. So I think in engineering, we call it unplugged coding, where children basically learn from kinesthetic movements of crawling and moving things. And they were following that when they saw myself and other female role models do it on the spot. And by the end of the program, we also noticed that some of the girls had started their own workstations without us asking them to build them. So they proactively did that and were delegating jobs to their colleagues, which were male counterparts. And they were telling them how to execute projects as well, according to their project plan, which showed leadership and action, which is something that came out of it that we didn't expect. So it was very wonderful to witness that as a female engineer.
And why this project of co-teaching has been so powerful and so important for girls in STEM is that our research at Monash University has shown by the age of 3, young children start to recognise and feel whether STEM is for them or not. And so this project showed already that change emerging where girls get switched off to STEM. But with this intervention and this conceptual play world where we were co-teaching and we had the modelling of the chief engineer elf, we were able to continue to position girls as being leaders in STEM, and that's what we want in order to support and take forward a passion for STEM right up until adulthood.
And talking about adulthood, if we look at the stats, in manufacturing, there's only 27% of the female workforce. That's very low compared to our national average in Australia for 47%. It's one of the worst industries in terms of numbers when it comes to women and inclusivity in manufacturing. So that's why we picked that field. Our next phase would be automation and robotics, which also has similar low numbers of female participation, which is why we want to get women and girls early on into this industry. And the children will be building a humanoid robot with myself and the team for a manufacturing world as well. And they'll be putting parts together and also coming up with theories and learning and implementing all these theories with us.
So if you want to make a difference for girls in STEM, you begin early and you have these rich partnerships between industry and early childhood settings.
Thank you.